My concern really is when we have awareness days like this, it's not even what people believe. I mean, all different types of people have notions of what human rights are, what political systems they fall under, and honestly, I don't really care about all that. I don't care if you're all for capitalism, if you're a socialist, if you're an anarchist, but there has to be an awareness of social issues among the general public, because if we don't accept that there are issues in the world, we're not going to get anywhere. I mean, when I talk to people about child slavery or fair trade, most people don't even know that that still goes on in the world today. Gender inequality, environmental degradation, it's just a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not only passionate about, but that I want other people to be passionate about. Knowing is the first step to doing something, and then even if what we're doing is small, it does make a difference. And that's what I'm concerned about. Because if we keep on the track that we're on now, we're not going to get anywhere. Stuff's going to get worse, and eventually it will affect us directly.
Democracy is the only government system that allows for human rights to properly exist, whereas you can see what everyone wants, what people need, what they deserve. They can easily express themselves. It's the only system that will work.
All right. I'm Dr. Rob Jonason and teacher at Huron College, and I'm going to make a plug now. This is a human rights kind of thing here for the Politics of Human Rights in the summer, which is held in Intercession. Should be on this year. I hope you take the course. 2219E, and it's a great course. We talk all sorts of issues of human rights philosophically and look at several countries and cases and past cases and leadership and governments that abuse human rights or perhaps don't abuse human rights. So make that plug and support the students here that are doing this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think you should talk about your views on human rights and human rights violation. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I think everyone, like, just being a human being, you deserve to have your rights and freedom and whatnot. And, like, for Canada, like in Canada, for example, we are pretty fortunate compared to a lot of other countries in the world. So, I mean, it's pretty fortunate to be here, but I really think that other countries should be a bit more strict, or like something should be enforced, maybe with like the UN. I don't know how like that would all work, but I think something should be enforced so everyone does get the rights that they deserve. And maybe democracy isn't the best political system. I mean, we have like a democratic system here. It's not the best system, but I mean, it's pretty good, and there's a lot of other things you could try and they don't work that great either. I think it's pretty much the best thing going as of right now, and it could be perfected. But I think everyone definitely should get the opportunity to have these rights like we do in Canada. And that's all she wrote.
And I'm from Colombia. I have been in Canada for about 11 years, and the reason why I think Canada is awesome is because they live in immigrants from all over the world who are coming here because their situation in their countries maybe is not as good. And I think that is great that you can come in here and be a refugee and then an immigrant and then become a citizen of Canada. also think it's awesome that the government provides us with OSEP, which is a loan. And although we have to pay it back, it does give people the opportunity who don't have the means to go to university to be able to go to university and then to get a really good job in the future. And I also think that I don't know much about the political system or welfare, but I think that being able to provide less fortunate people or people with disabilities with money in order for them to live and have a good life, I think that's great too. Thank you.
Canada is not a bad place as far as human rights are concerned. When you compare Canada to other countries in Africa or Asia, you find that human rights are something that they really needs to be addressed. I have lived in this country for over 40 years, and I'm telling you where I am today, the human rights issue, discrimination and all that is something that I've been able to grow through it. What we should be emphasizing more, it's a human rights issue internationally, especially the new developing countries in Africa, Asia, and South America. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aidan Timmons, and what I want to talk about is freedom. We in Canada tend to take freedom for granted. We don't appreciate sometimes just how free we are. The fact that we can choose not only how we dress or what jobs we have or what we can do with our time, but whether or not we can identify ourselves in certain ways, whether I can say I am, I don't know, a liberal or I am an NDPer and I don't have to worry about violence and I don't have to worry about people trying to shut me up, is something we tend to take for granted here. And what people tend to forget is how long it took for us to get here, how brief our period of egalitarian liberty has really existed, only for the past 60, 70 years in a history that's been dominated by slavery and by tyranny. We tend to forget just how valuable our freedom is. And it's not something that just stays around once you've gotten it. It's not that you reach a point where you're free and then you're free forever onward. It's something that we have to appreciate and live for and fight for just as citizens in a democracy. And we have to recognize the fact that around the world, a lot of people don't have these choices. They don't have the choice of whether or not they want to pursue democracy, whether or not they have a choice to vote. I can choose not to vote if I want to. If I were in another country, if I even suggested voting, I could be taken away by secret police, or I could be beaten in the street by a mob or by a militia. We have to remember that freedom is something that you have to care about. It's not something you can just have in the background anymore. And it's something that a lot of people in the world, I'd say the majority of people in the world, don't really experience to the same degree we have. We need to realize the world is bigger than Canada too. Just because we have it here doesn't mean that it stops there. That people around the world don't deserve what we have as well. That we can just go about our lives thinking that it's okay just to worry about what's right in front of me. The day-to-day activity that makes us happy or makes us comfortable. Freedom is something that everyone has a stake in, and it's something that we all have to pay more attention to.
And I just wish that everyone were thought to be worth the same from birth. And that's my thoughts.
Go.
I think it's really interesting to see how things like this manifest themselves and the really strong motivations behind them. I think it's interesting because personally I don't feel human rights exist. That we sort of just made them up and there's no normative foundation to them other than altruism and empathy and enlightened self-interest that really are the fuel behind the fire. But we need these legal mechanisms, and I think it's really cool to see people come out in force and support what really are a strong normative foundation to why we should all care about each other.
I think human rights is really important because we are not objects in this world to be used and treated how people please. We are all equal. We were born this way and it should stay that way.
I think that we live in a world where there's a lot of talk and there's a lack of action.
I think that we have to put pressure on governments to uphold the human rights standards that they set. I think it's our moral duty to ensure that everybody has the rights that we would like to have, and that we feel we're entitled to, because everyone is entitled to those rights, and not everyone gets the same equal treatment.
Is that it? Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.